have been falling for 30 minutes.
If you actually think that I was just the right gay guy, gay guy, gay guy, gay guy, nigga, gay guy, gay guy. And you check your
All my kids in the backseat. You know just how we do.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is the world's wokest warrior, primitive-sided, toxic fanboy, aligned with the like-minded Tony Tone Deaf, rockin' with you. I want to welcome one and all to the Clown World Review. It's 2/2/2/2/2 Tuesday, and we're going to be talking some wrestling, some good times. Big week in the Monday Night War. Before we get to that, he's got the red, white, and blue running through his veins like he's Demi Lovato. He was born and raised in the USA like he's Osama bin Laden. Do I get my Q sticker? Ladies and gentlemen, Etep Wokuian from Etep Wokuian's Place to Be Reviews. How are you, sir?
I'm excellent, brother. Great to be here. Hail the chat. What's up, Draven? Tony, man, again, thank you. This is we are on the precipice of the greatest period, like greatest probably year and a half solid of professional wrestling that ever was or ever will be, and reliving it is honestly just amazing. Man, it's I got my old school on tonight.
Nice.
1998 special right here. But yeah, this is going to be fun, man. I can't wait to talk about these two Nitros. I'm stoked.
It's just hard to believe because it's like I remember watching back then, and geez, what comes next? And I mean, this is going to be awesome. I wonder what wrestling will be like in 10 years, but never did I realize, this is going to be the peak, even though I can see why it is. But yeah, we need another boom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely.
Yes. And now I should have saved like half of that, like the born and raised in the USA, like Osama bin Laden, for the next gentleman on the panel, because really I'm all out of gas. I don't have anything cool to say. So Angelous Draven, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Looking forward to talking about like the forming of or at least the very beginning of NWO, and that, because I don't think I saw all of it like live. I know I seen Hogan like when he turned Hollywood, like here and there, but I didn't see like the forming of it. I really liked Sting during that time, so I'm looking forward to talking about this.
Same here. Back when it was the New World Organization of Wrestling, brother. Like Hogan and Order. Yes.
Yep.
And shout out to the lovely Sherry. Thank you for joining us. It's always great to see you.
Hail, Sherry.
Superfan Adam Shahan, NWO, baby. That's right. We're seeing the very beginnings of it tonight. So it's a good time. Definitely a good time. I'm looking forward to talking about it. We may as well just jump right in.
Yeah.
Unless you guys want to talk about Evangeline Lilly.
I think we did that last night.
Yes. Enough of Evangeline.
I mean, unless she's finally bearing it all. Look,
not like. I don't.
I meant her soul, Draven.
Oh, sorry.
I don't mean to insult her directly, but I mean, don't you think Evangeline is kind of an asshole name? Like, anybody who's named Evangeline is probably going to be a little stuck up. Like,
Yeah.
like it
She
transcends
kind of left it.
Karenism.
She's kind of like pretty liberal
Very.
anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like,
very.
so like, yeah. I don't know.
They eat their own, man. That's what's happening.
That's
they
true.
eat their own.
Well, she's at least keeping it real. She's like, I believe in,
Mm-hmm.
body rights this way. I need to believe in them this way,
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Yes. So, Draven, woot woot.
Yeah. Unless you wanted to get into the Bobby Lashley thing. Which I figure we'll talk about later.
Oh, yeah, Bobby Lashley. So did anyone in the chat see Elimination Chamber from this past Saturday? Now I'm going to start watching the pay-per-views again. Like, I hadn't watched wrestling in years. Then I watched the Royal Rumble, was thoroughly disappointed. So here I am watching the next pay-per-view. It's like I'm falling back into the abusive cycle. Man. So I'm hearing it's a work, then I'm hearing it's not. I don't know. It's just we've discussed Seth Rollins' buckle bomb on here.
Yep.
We've watched footage from Ring of Honor where he almost killed Bryan Danielson. Daniel Bryan, take your pick.
Sting almost messed him up.
Yep, he injured Sting. Almost
what's
ended
the other?
his career.
Balor? Finn Balor?
Yeah, Finn Balor, he fucked his shoulder up.
Yeah.
This is like a Finn Balor all over again. Like,
yeah.
Number one, like, you see the Elimination Chamber promos, and it's like so many tons of steel and enough chain to fucking tow a Ford. Like they play it up like it's all nice and like, just this evil fucking demonic structure.
Yep.
And then the fucking chambers holding the guys is made out of thin plexiglass. Because not only Seth Rollins buckle bombs, who was it? Matt Riddle?
I don't know. Some random schmuck that nobody gives a shit about.
Who's that other fucker that they gave Zack Ryder's gimmick? Austin Theory. Austin Theory is like, hey, remember Zack Ryder? Let's just have this guy do his gimmick. Except we won't bury him.
The kids loved Zack Ryder. I fucking hated him personally.
Yeah. So Austin
that's
Theory,
how Vince was.
Yeah. Austin Theory, Matt Riddle, somebody fucking Seth Rollins buckle bomb through the chamber.
Yeah, and the back of his head like hits the steel thing, like even of the chamber. Like you can see that's what happens. Like,
see, I wish we could show it without me getting a copyright strike, but fucking Bobby Lashley is laying there in the chamber after getting this guy power bombed onto him, and he looked like he was just like Weinstein just touched his no-nos or something. Like he looked so offended and just hurt and sensitive, and like I didn't know quite what to make of it.
Like, are you kayfabing, motherfucker? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing, Bobby? He's like, it hurts.
Well, see, and I'm not up to date on all the wrestling news how I used to be, all the backstage going on, who's injured, who's not. But all the WWE officials start crowding around his chamber, and I'm like, is he stuck in there or something? Like, you could tell there was an issue. And then they end up hauling him off and said he was on like concussion watch, and then came out a couple hours later and said his shoulder's injured and he's going to be out for a few months. Either way, like Seth and that buckle bomb, like it's so bad. Like if we didn't learn from the diving headbutt with Chris Benoit, like if things are like pile drivers seem safer than that buckle bomb.
Yeah,
and they look better.
Yeah. That move, he needs to stop using it. They need to just tell him, dude, backstage, stop. You're not using it anymore. You know what? If it comes down to you injuring another top guy or using it, you're out. Like, you're out. I don't care. Like, I'd be like, I will make you're a freaking independent contractor. We get shit can you tell you get out.
The thing is, he's on his knees fucking sucking
Oh,
Vince
absolutely.
off, like him, Lynch, and all them. Like
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
fucking buddy with Vince, and
The
that's
new
why they're the
clique.
top card.
Yeah.
And Vince
So-
Vince didn't even like Becky though. That's the thing.
Mhm.
Like he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't.
He doesn't like anyone at first. He didn't like
No.
Stone Cold. Shout out to Parrothead. Thank you for joining us. Great to see you. Chris Fisk. That's awesome. And look, I think superfan Adam Shawhan said it best.
Chris Fist.
Shit, it was such shit.
Mm-hmm.
That
And then
explains
they
that.
later
Not just the Buckle Bomb, his entire career.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even the Cruella de Vil days.
Even the F5 from the same guy who got buckle bombed into the plexiglass off the top of the chamber looked like
Austin
shit.
Theory.
It looked terrible.
Yeah, it looked off like that.
Like it would have been one
dumb.
thing if he F5 like jumped and F5'd him like midair, like off the top of it, I would understand. And they did a bump that way.
What would
But he just literally like threw him off the fucking top of the chamber, like,
and he landed on his feet. Like,
yeah, it's like stupid.
What part of that was supposed to hurt? It would have looked better if he would have like stood on the middle or top rope, Brock Lesnar, with Austin Theory on his shoulders, and he could have F5'd him where he like spun him off and flung him against the side of the cage. And then Austin Theory would have ricocheted off of that under the ground. And I mean, again, it probably wouldn't do the most damage, but it would have looked fucking cool. It would have made Brock look like more of a beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looked bad, right? That
it just looked bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't. I'll have to go back and watch it because I didn't get to see it.
No,
I just seen clips. I didn't watch the whole thing. I just seen clips of it, and they look terrible.
The rest of the pay-per-view, because it felt like the Royal Rumble started kind of hot, and then the first match, Reigns defending against Rollins, ended in a DQ, and it felt like it was on like a decline from there. This pay-per-view, and maybe it's because they're afraid of getting held hostage in Saudi Arabia again, but this was good. This was like a decent. Now it wasn't quite up to like that AEW show we watched a few months ago where Bryan Danielson debuted and Adam Cole came back, and so it probably wasn't up to that level, but it was a solid WWE show. Maybe with the exception of Ronda Rousey, but like even the women's chamber match was pretty good, and I'll give it up to the women. Like, in my opinion, they had a better Royal Rumble than the men, and they had a better Elimination Chamber match than the men. And fucking Nougat or whatever her name was in it. What's her name?
Dewdrop.
Yeah,
that fat, that big old heifer.
Yes. So let's see here.
So Lashley got hurt when he put Theory through there. That's what happened. Okay.
Yeah, Austin Theory, who's basically Zack Ryder except corporate approved, WWE
Jesus,
approved.
dude. Why would you even do that move? What a piece of shit.
I'm not even familiar with him, and just how he was coming out with his phone, and it was like he was streaming onto social media or some platform. I'm like, this is just Zack Ryder.
Yep. This
is Zack Ryder's gimmick. Yeah. Like, you punished him and made him look weak and paired him up with Cena for comedy bits. And
yep.
That guy worked so hard to get over. He used to be like Edge's lackey.
Yep.
And he worked hard to get where, created another gimmick, and he got punished for it. It's kind of like we've gone we're a long way away from Vince saying ruthless aggression. If you want it, all you have to do is reach up and take it. Stuff. It's like, well, Zach reached up and took it. Like, they were booing The Rock. A very I'm not here often Rock for Zack Ryder. Yeah. So, Superfan says, when you wrestled, was the ring you were in same size as WWE now? It felt like WCW's ring was smaller.
WCW was like 18 by 18. The Fed is using, I think it's either 22 by 22 or 24 by 24s. They're fucking huge. I worked in mostly 16 to 14 footers. I think I worked in 18 down at was it Power Zone or Apex? Had an 18 by 18 at one point that was like, oh my god, this is awesome. But I never actually got to wrestle in one of those. I wrestled mostly in 14 by 14s, which you put a couple, big guys in there, and it gets real. The ring gets real small, real
Yeah,
quick.
Nitro's was small, and that was
I
bigger than
dude,
14.
oh yeah, theirs was, like I said, I think theirs was 18 by 18.
Yeah.
But yeah, that no. So I was working in smaller rings.
I remember that was always like that was my first impression going to a WCW Nitro.
Yeah, it was the
We
ring
got into the
smaller.
arena, and I'm like, holy shit, the ring is small. Like it, yeah. So, Chris Fisk says the Frankensteiner is still my favorite high risk move. Yeah, I'm partial to that move too. I like it. The padded plywood in the ring doesn't cushion for shit. Falling wrong can make things go bad really quickly.
It's straight up 3/4 inch OSB, like in most of the rings I've been in. 3/4 inch OSB over steel bars that run the length of the ring. Minus you've got 4 outer rails that connect to your posts. Then you've got your main cross members, and then you've got all the individual steel beams, and then you put your 8 piece. Well, ours, the one ring I had was like 8 pieces of plywood, and then about a 1/4 inch of padding on top of that, and then an apron. So you were legitimately basically falling on 3/4 inch OSB, and it hurts.
What's OSB? Because I heard some people, especially back
Plywood.
in the day, yeah. So they would put like sheet metal or something in the right above the plywood just to make it smack a little harder, make it louder when you hit.
So your ring, your square, you put sheet metal around the outside of it, all along the very outside of the ring, and when you hit, it reverbs, and yeah, it sounds, it makes the bump sound louder. Because we did that too. Because our ring was from, was it Memphis? Our ring was from, it was where the hell Harley Race was at the time. I think it was Memphis, around there, but that's where we
Yeah.
bought. That's where we bought that ring, was from Harley Race.
And
But yeah, that
Hail,
thing was stiff.
hail, Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective. It's good to see you. And Tommy will be back next week. He needed the night off. He filled out the appropriate form, turned it into me like 3 weeks ago. We spoke to HR. They told him he can't have it. He said, well, I'm taking the fucking day off, so you either let me have it off or I quit. We're short workers right now because we just fired a whole bunch of people who didn't get the, the thing. So we went ahead and let him have the day off.
Is he going to come back as a Hollywood
No, but
Piggy Hogan?
we're going to play like 16 montages of him tonight in his greatest hits, so you don't think he signed with another live stream. He's still over here. So, yeah. Hail another monster. It's great to see you, man. Thank you for joining us. And yes, Chris Fisk, sheet metal. I think Harley Race trained Triple H, if I'm not mistaken. So, yes. And yes, super fan, the flu shot. Don't want anyone getting the flu here. Always fade out in a montage. I try. Most people just look at me weird. So let's go ahead and jump into this. We're going to go back and forth. Well, I guess we're going to have to start with Nitro because, ladies and gentlemen, Nitro is now 2 hours. So we're going to go through the first hour of that, and then we'll go back and forth between that and Raw, compare the segments. So did we have any dark matches for the May 27th edition of Monday Nitro?
No, there was.
Hail Hex Allen Comics and Glenzer. Thank you guys for joining us.
No dark matches this evening at all on either card because we had eight, 17 matches between two Nitros. So no dark matches.
Yeah, they need to fill some space. They're signing new people. Prince Iake is going to make his debut later on, and in fashion, he loses just in WCW fashion. Not just loses, squashed, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, as Chris Jericho called him in the future, Prince Nakamaki, in one of my favorite
Ron Mysterio Jr.
Jericho called him fat and hit him with a scale. That was freaking great.
Stinko Malenko. Those were good times.
Good lord.
Mal Stinko.
See, it's hard to fade out in a montage. Another monster. He says, we're looking at you weird before the montage. I have the same problem. People always be looking at me weird. Like, that's just my face. Right. Glinzer says WWE should give the women their own show. Isn't the WNBA quote-unquote success? Yes, but that's because in today's modern era where we're constantly moving forward, success is no longer dependent on if you generate an income or have people pay attention to you in any sort. You know, they're just successful for being there. Yep. And that's what matters. So they should get paid as much as LeBron.
Speaking of women wrestler, freaking, I love Thunder Rosa in AEW, but she like flipped out on a bunch of fans at a event. Basically told them, if they don't have anything nice to say about the performers, then they don't belong there. Basically.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Is she a baby face or a heel?
I think she's a baby face. Yes.
She a baby face?
Yeah.
Just ignore him. Just ignore him then.
Yep.
You got to as a face, you got to ignore that shit.
Mm-hmm.
You got to clap. Yeah, you just fucking ignore it and focus on the positive fans. If she was a heel, I'd say, I would feed right into that heat. But yeah, if she's a baby, you just got to ignore it.
Yeah, because people in the comments were like, "Isn't that the point of going to a show? Like, fucking, you know what I mean?"
Yep. Yeah. You got to be ready to take all kinds of criticism. It just it's part of the fucking business.
So, it looks like Nitro's starting an hour earlier. No, they're now starting at 8 p.m. and running through 10 p.m. compared to Raw, which is running from 9 till 10 p.m. Seems like that extra hour is helping them because they are the weekly winner for the week of May 27th, 1996, and they're coming at you live from Macon, Georgia. They pulled a 2.8 rating compared to Raw's 2.3 and Raw's in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Coming off the heels of a delayed In Your House pay-per-view, but we'll get to Raw in just a little bit. Let's hit this first hour of Nitro here. Again, we're 2 hours in length. The first hour is Tony Schiavone and the living legend Larry Zbyszko on commentary. Bischoff and Heenan Wilhelm the second hour. We then go to the first match of the night, which is Arn Anderson and Ric Flair, of course, with the beautiful Miss Elizabeth and the enchanting woman. And they defeat the American males, Marcus Alexander Bagwell and Scotty Riggs. When Bagwell attempts to pin Flair, woman gouges his eyes. The referee's looking down at the pin. Doesn't see. And then Arn Anderson drops Buff with the vicious DDT. Ric Flair rolls over and makes the cover for the win. And let me tell you something about these 2 hour Raws. Mean Gene is really earning his paycheck now. Holy shit.
Oh,
yeah, I'm going to say his name more than anybody else tonight by far.
He did so many freaking promo spots for them. Gene Okerlund was like, was not a young
match, he's interviewing him either backstage.
Yeah, he was not a young man here either. And yeah, dude, he's out in front of that freaking crowd like mad. Every segment.
Yes.
Mean Gene's got more airtime than anybody.
Yep. And that's the thing, that's it. Sometimes in the ring, sometimes backstage, sometimes on the
that fucker's running around.
Yeah. He's all, somebody get me some goddamn methamphetamine, in that distinctive voice of his.
Hulk Hogan, I need some cocaine.
You know, where's the booty man with my bag? Gave him like fucking $80 an hour ago. So
He's back with DDP's wife.
hell yeah, I would be too. Come on,
You're right.
Kimberly. Watch the
All right, come here, Sheila. Come here.
Yeah. Telling you, cheesecake and cocaine is the key to a woman's heart. So,
Oh yeah, cheesecake.
Right.
Mean Gene interviews Arn Anderson and Ric Flair about their match at the Great American Bash versus Steve Mongo McMichael, which will be his wrestling debut, and the NFL's Kevin Green. Arn Anderson says in wrestling, there's no protective gear. It's man-to-man and hand-to-hand. Flair tells Mongo and Green they better hope the NFL commissioner steps in. Somebody steps in to stop this match. While Steve McMichael has been playing football, Ric Flair has been making up time with Deborah. Woo. Woo. So,
Woo!
yeah, as Michael Cole would say, vintage Flair.
Oh God.
Vintage. We get a
I'd like
shit
to put
training.
a vintage foot in Michael Cole's ass.
Fucking hate Michael Cole.
So we get a like very. I mean, it's 1996 and we're halfway through it. You know, like again, Kurt Cobain's dead. Like we should be out of that early 90s, mid 90s feel and heading towards kind of grunge and West Coast versus East Coast and gangster rap. But no, we get a shit early 90s looking training montage of Kevin Green and Steve McMichael.
Yes.
Yeah.
They just kind of mimic fucking Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, okay, so giving those two mic time was a horrible idea. Because Kevin Green just basically like, because they did this on both Nitros, I think it was, and Kevin Green just sounds retarded, like when he talks.
I know.
And
He looks
and
retarded, too.
he does, like he looks like Lenny from Of Mice and Men. He should have played a version of Lenny.
I want to pet the bunny, George. I want to pet the bunny.
Look at the flowers, Lenny. Look at the flowers. You know, and Mongo was a terrible commentator. I love Steve McMichael. I did. I was kind of a Bears fan, along with being a Lions fan in the 80s, just because the players the Bears had, like him and Refrigerator Perry and Walter Payton and Jim McMahon. But my God, giving him any mic time, like doing the color commentary the way he did with Heenan and Bischoff worked, because those two could kind of buffer for his stupidity, and they're like say just enough to not sound like a mongoloid. But him and Green alone doing a promo, I was just like, oh God, who approved this, Eric? Why would you approve this?
And Glenzer, I'm not sure if there were any male
I don't
interviewers in
know.
the WWE. Like, I don't. But when you say that, I think of like we're just talking about, you know, going into the late 90s, and I'm just thinking of Backstreet Boy Michael Cole with the frosted tips and goatee, and oh, that was bad.
Kevin Kelly. You had Kevin Kelly back then.
He
I remember
You
the
remember
one
Kevin
guy
Kelly?
that he was on Tough Enough, but he was an interview, never actually became a wrestler. I forget his name. It was like Josh or something.
Corey Graves. Or no, I was thinking NXT.
Yeah.
I'd say Corey Graves that motherfucker's married to Carmella. That's like his girl.
And Chris Fisk. Yes, Bobby Heenan on commentary. His shit holds up today.
Yep.
He was one of those genuinely funny.
Him and like Mike Tenay, I would say, like two of the, like you can't forget Gordon Soley too, but Heenan is like the Mount Rushmore of wrestling commentators. He's definitely got a spot.
Yeah, Josh Matthews.
See,
that was the Tough Enough guy.
Josh
Yeah.
Matthews. Yeah, I forgot he was on Tough Enough. Mike Tenay, he's a hometown guy. He's from Las Vegas.
Okay.
Because he'd always talk about, you know, whenever WCW comes to Las Vegas, me and my granddaughter come and spend the day backstage. And yeah, TNA reminded me of like all the bad things at WCW, and he basically became the voice of TNA.
I know.
So it's like I like Mike Tenay, but I like WCW like Mike Tenay.
Yeah. Oh
Mhm.
yeah, absolutely. You know, TNA was good for like a hot minute.
Yeah, like it just feels like and not now, I'm sure they're not saying it, but it felt like for about 15 or 20 years, TNA's like a company on the verge of greatness. And
Yep.
it just wasn't that good. And I really think I get it. Some people like the 6-sided ring. Hail Jason Lee Tucker's statement. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you're not a big fan of the TNA 6-sided ring, sir, because I'm about to dig into that a little bit.
Oof, that
It
was
just,
bad, dog.
if like number one, I get for like certain lucha matches and stuff, and then it helps with the action, but
A brawl or like a rumble and
Yep.
stuff, it would be good.
yeah,
But
or
other
like
than that,
have it at a pay-per-view, like one
Mhm.
pay-per-view a year or something like that, kind of, is the signature of that specific event. But it's just hard for me to get into a 6-sided ring all the time. And like they moved to the squared circle, the 4-sided ring for a while. I think that was because of Hogan and Bischoff.
yeah.
But that was
Yeah.
one of the better ideas they had, and it was simple. It just works, and that made me get into them a little more. There's just such a feel about TNA that I was never a fan of. It feels like I'm smoking GPC.
There's certain
cigarettes or
things
something,
of TNA that I like Fatal J and the Machismo thing with
Yeah.
with him mimicking Flair, like that stuff was great.
Yep.
The whole Sting as like Joker kind of thing was kind of
Yep.
pretty cool. And there's a few others too that I can't think of off the top of my head, but
See, I like the main event Mafia gimmick because it was kind of like a NWO type thing.
Mhm.
That I did. I dug that. It was I liked it, man. You had, some of the old timers together again, and
Mhm.
they were still like in the twilight, but they could work,
Yeah.
I like that. And I liked at first. I kind of fell for the nostalgia aspect of TNA at first because there was a lot of the old WCW guys there. And for me, wrestling died the day McMahon showed up on Nitro. That was it. I grew up, Jim Crockett Promotions, NWA into WCW. I always watched WWF, but I was always more of the Southern, style. That's the kind of shit that I liked, and that's the kind of peeps I was trained by. And so to see the TNA, and I got friends that are wrestling Impact now, guys that I broke into the business with are there, and it's good to see that, man.
Yeah.
So TNA, it's a whipping post now. It's kind of like it's a glorified indie company.
But
It,
they
it is.
refuse to die. I mean, how many times did they? And I remember back in the Orlando days, they were talking about
Yep.
sometimes they don't know how they're going to make it to the next month, or they really needed a buyer or an investor. And I mean,
Yep.
to give them anything, it seems like they've survived and they still put on a decent product. From what I hear, it's better now than it was a couple years ago.
And that's good because that's good for the business and that's good for the boys that work there. I don't want to see guys like that not work because everybody that's in the business needs a place to fucking work. You need that squared circle to step into. That's your home. I fuck, dude, it's been 5 years. I miss it like crazy. My fat ass is itching to get back in there. I want to at least get back in ring shape. Not that I'll ever be able to, like I said, one weekend the wife goes away. When my boy starts running this promotion, I'm going to go work under a mask and get my retirement match in.
Hell yeah.
But no, man, it is.
And then take the mask off at the end. It was me all along. No.
Oh, I will. I'd be like, it was me, Austin, it was me all along. No, but it would be, man, because it'd just be fun, One more go at it.
Yeah.
Just to be able to put the exclamation point on it finally, do it my way, like Sinatra said. But man, TNA, like I said, that was WCW and all the things that were wrong with it to a certain point. And yeah, it kind of, they've got their little resurgence, and good for them, man. That makes me happy to see.
Yeah.
But I'm so one more thing, Tony. They really fucked up when they tried to go head up on Monday nights with WWE. That was Hogan and Bischoff. Go ahead.
Can I
I'm
just
done.
bring this point out? I think their main issue was, instead of trying to be and I'm not saying they weren't good and good at times, but instead of like trying to be a solid promotion and I don't know, you just got that feeling like they were trying to be WWE's competition, and I think like that kind of bled through a little.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was Bischoff and that was Hogan backstage.
Yeah, but even before that, like a lot of what Jeff Jarrett did was questionable.
And I like Jeff Jarrett. I don't like Jeff Jarrett the businessman. I like Jeff Jarrett the character.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I'm a mark for Jarrett because I like that listen up slap nuts. I call my kids slap nuts all the time.
Yeah, I remember that shit.
He was a lot better when he went back to WCW from WWF.
Yes.
We'll give him that.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I didn't like him in the Fed. I liked him in WCW more. But that was he was a lot of the problem with TNA too.
Yeah.
So let's jump back into this. So
sorry, man, we got derailed. My bad.
No, it's all good. So Mean Gene, he interviewed Anderson and Flair, and then we get the shit montage of Kevin Green and Steve Mongo McMichael. Then we get Steve Dahl versus the Mauler. This was Mauler's debut. What's the
Mauler is Mike Enos, who was one half of the tag team with Wayne Bloom, and they were the tag team of the year in Minnesota, I think it was. They were both like PWI, like rated like rookies of the year individually at one point, I do believe. And also I think in Goldberg's streak, Mike Enos must have lost to him like probably 30 times.
Yeah.
Kayfabe. But yeah, it was kind of funny seeing him come out as a Mauler. I was like, oh shit. Trey was like, what? I'm like, it's Mike Enos. He's like, my kid, Trey's like, who did?
Person who gets excited over Mike Enos.
I am. I was like, it's Mike Enos. Where's Wayne Bloom? Is he going to come out of the crowd?
Then again, I was a Norman Smiley mark long before Vince Russo came in the company. So, this is Mauler's debut. This is Mike Enos's debut with the company. So, of course, the rules. It either has to go down as a loss for the person debuting, or the match goes to a no contest. This match would go to a no contest because the infamous Scott Hall appears on WCW TV for the first time, walking through the audience, making his way down to the ring.
Yep.
He gets down there, jumps the barrier, calls for a mic, and he says, "You people, you know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. Where's Billionaire Ted? Where's the Nacho Man? That punk can't get in the building, but Hall goes wherever he wants, whenever he wants. Where
so good
is Scheme Gene? Because Hall's got a scoop. He has a challenge for anyone in WCW. You want a war? You're going to get one." Mm-hmm. The commentators question what's going on as Hall makes his way off camera and out of the arena.
He's like, WCW.
One of the
WCW.
WCW. One of the most iconic moments in wrestling. Like, this moment is just as big, in my opinion, as Hogan turning heel. Like, or at least went down just as famous, I guess, infamous.
Mm-hmm.
God, it's such an iconic moment of like Razor showing up on WCW TV.
Scott Hall is my favorite wrestler of all time. He is. I like I said, I patterned so much of who I was in the business after Scott Hall. down to, and Tony, you know, the whole team ratings gimmick. I mean, it was NWO, and me and my tag partner were basically Hall and Nash down to the outside of the ring antics and that shit. But yeah, this watching this again, like, and I watched this last week, and I wanted to watch it again. It legit gave me goosebumps when he hits that ring in that Canadian tuxedo with that slick back hair and the toothpick in his mouth and one behind his ear. I'm like, oh shit, like this, you know, it got real again, you know, and it's so iconic, man. The guy is, and it's a shame that his demons got the better of him.
Yeah.
Because if they didn't, he could have really broke out more of a solo career in WCW away when the NWO split.
Yeah.
If he would have been able to stay clean enough to stay in there.
Yeah.
And that killed me because, like I said, man, I used the frickin' outsider's edge. I used the fall away slam. I even came out one night when everybody in the state, I told them we were all drunk, and I was like, when we go out to do the match, I'm gonna come out, I'm gonna lean over with the mic, I'm gonna be like, hey yo. And they're like, don't. I'm like, oh yeah. Because we come out, we do the whole I don't give a shit. I was like, I don't give a shit. We're doing it. I was like, if we're doing this, we're going full. It's all in.
Yeah.
So I did. I came out and I'm like, hey yo. And they thought I was going to do the whole survey. And I just said, no, I just wanted to say hi. And just pass the mic off to our manager. I'm just like, well, everybody's like waiting for me to do it. I'm like, no, I just did that, just the one line. But no, it was, man, it was so much fun to be able to do that shit. And then, I did that. We had the one big guy, Bill. I kept doing the ooh to him like that and shit. And I do the giant wall. It was, man, it was so much fun. I did, man. I patterned so much of myself after him. I loved him because like I had an existing gimmick and I just kind of morphed it into him when I transitioned into the ring, you know, fully. So
yeah. And what's up, Vinny? How are you doing, brother?
Not bad, guys. How we doing tonight?
Great,
excellent,
great. Brother. And
Nice,
if you're just joining us, we have Vinny Tartamella joining us. Always a good time. We're going over the week of May 27th, 1996.
You can't see me. You can't see me.
Who said that?
China did.
Xishao.
China asshole.
是说是台湾是说下 Ping 是说 Russia 是
Good lord.
There's your cue sticker, Tony. He said rush.
Yeah. So we literally just got through the part in the show, Vinny, where Scott Hall just showed up for the first time, went through the crowd, and where's Billionaire Ted? Where's the Nacho Man? And,
The Nacho Man.
Yeah. So, yeah, the commentators are like, well, what the hell? And they go to commercial, and then they come back, and everything's reset, and we get Diamond Dallas Page versus Sergeant Craig Pittman, and Sergeant Craig Pittman has Fat Teddy Long with him.
He's got fat titty what?
Fat Teddy
Not
Long.
fat titty.
Fat titty.
Not fat titties.
Fat long titties.
Oh, I guess I heard what I wanted to hear.
Teddy Long looked fat. Like he looked like a 6-man tag. Like, holy shit.
Wow. Oh, by the
Tonight,
way,
player, you in the 6-man tag against the Undertaker.
Tony, if you do get some kind of a sticker for what I did before, you could just tell them you could fight it and say, "There's nobody there." Literally, you can't see them and you can't hear them.
Yeah, right. He's
Oh shit.
yeah. So Diamond Dallas Page, he defeats Craig Pittman. When Pittman checks on an injured Teddy Long and D.D. Urine hits the diamond cutter, gets the 1, 2, 3. And it's cool seeing him progress up, a little more each week too. So
Dog, them green tights he was in, I wasn't feeling that look at all. Oof. I'm gonna order me a DDP shirt. I'm gonna find a DDP shirt. I'm gonna buy one.
Did you get the yoga yet?
No, I'm too fat to do yoga right now. They just call it tumbling if I try to do it because I just fall over and roll around a little bit.
No, brother, it's DDP yoga. It's not the same. It's you're doing the moves of the wrestlers. You're flexing it. You're working the core, and you stand there and you breathe.
Diamond cutter.
Hail
And
Gaps
in a week, you
joining
can
us.
lift your legs over your head.
Mr. Super Oz, thank you for joining us. I just like when JR sits there, fucking face all on the camera, like only one guy got a break at WCW, and that was Bill Goldberg. I always think of Diamond Dallas Page because not only did DDP bring Goldberg to his best match ever, and I'll say that confidently, ever. Dude was on fucking fire. Like he was one of the best foils for Hollywood Hogan.
Oh
Dude
yeah,
was on fucking fire, and
absolutely.
They kind of turned him heel when they were making a lot of wrong moves, and I still think he should have broken the streak at Halloween Havoc. So, Macho Man, because of the madness, because of his behavior the past few months while Elizabeth is out with Flair spending his money, he's been suspended from all WCW TV for the next few weeks. And they give us a little montage of Ric Flair and Miss Elizabeth and just everything they've been doing to antagonize the poor man. Mean Gene is interviewing Shark in the backstage area. Shark cuts a promo on Jimmy Hart, Taskmaster, and the Giant, turning their backs on him. He's no longer part of the Dungeon of Doom, and tonight he will beat the Giant for the World Heavyweight Championship, and he'll have Jimmy Hart for dessert, whatever that means.
But the best part of that, Tony, is when he's like, "I'm not a shark. I'm not a fish. I'm a man. I'm John Tenta."
Yeah, that'll be the next week when half of his mane is shaved.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. My bad.
No, you're
wrong shark promo.
So,
where's my fucking producer? These notes are wrong. What's wrong with you?
We get and trust me, these 2 weeks These 2 weeks they play a lot of Hulk Hogan footage, a lot of montages. They're trying to show hey, he's not he didn't sign with the other guys. He's still with us.
Isn't there a promo with Hogan where it looks like the NWO like thing is like behind it? Because I could have swore like one of the first, it was either on this night or the next night. It felt like there was like a thing behind it, and maybe it was just me and the way it looked, and I just thought it was. But yeah,
there was a few months ago when they were dressing him in black, and it was supposed to be the dark side of Hogan. He was in a very early Hollywood Hogan costume. So, but
that was when they shaved his mustache.
Yeah. So this montage, he's hanging out with celebrities, George Foreman, Shaq, Dennis Rodman. So you can tell that Hogan's definitely not racist and would love his daughter to date outside of her ethnicity. So, and now we're in the second hour, and Bischoff and Heenan go over to commentary. Also, Raw's starting on the USA Network. Again, they're coming to you from Fayetteville, North Carolina, with a rating of 2.3, which makes them the weekly loser. It's a Memorial Day edition of Monday Night Raw, and we're coming off the heels of a delayed In Your House, Beware the Dog. So In Your House was the Sunday before all this, on May 26th. They got 2 or 3 matches in, and the power shut off to the arena. Like, even Stone Cold and Savio Vega had their Caribbean strap match in the dark. Then they just had to call the pay-per-view. So it's being pushed towards Tuesday, May 28th, 1996. So this was a very weird episode of Raw, because it was supposed to be the results from the night before. Now they had to carry a lot of storylines over for another episode. So yeah, plus it's Memorial Day, and they're always a little weird about their holiday shows. So Raw starts with Goldust in the ring. Ultimate Warrior's music hits. he comes out and they wrestle for a pretty good amount of time, especially for Warrior. But they did wrestle to a double count out when Goldust tries to walk away from the match after a few minutes, and Warrior chases him and attacks him in the aisle. Then he goes to go after Marlena. Jerry Lawler stands up from the commentator's booth. And it's kind of weird because he hasn't shown much of a personal relationship with Goldust or Marlena, but Jerry Lawler feels like it's his job to get up and stop Warrior from attacking a woman, and that'll come into play a little later. So while Goldust and Warrior are wrestling over on Nitro, we have a match for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. The Giant with Jimmy Hart defeats the Shark when Jimmy Hart distracts Shark, allowing Giant to choke slam him and pin him. And this is the first person that the Giant has wrestled who weighs more than he does. Then we get a revamped. What's up, Etep?
Does that mean that he distracted the Shark, so that makes Jimmy Hart the chum?
Jimmy Hart is definitely a chum.
He was the
He is a chump.
I'll see myself out.
So
dad jokes.
Yep.
We can't help it sometimes.
Yeah.
Nope.
We just come naturally.
Like in Billy's mom. Never mind.
Drink your juice, Billy.
You can't say that after I just said what I said.
So we get a revamped Big Bubba, who will go on in a few years to be the big boss man. He runs in the ring dressed like a biker, which this is better. I mean, what he was wrestling in on that first episode of Nitro back in September 95, it was awful. He's in like,
it looks stupid.
He's almost, it's just awful. He's supposed to look like some federal officer at the bar,
He looked like a gumshoe from like the 50s.
Yeah, it was just stupid. So he runs out. He's listen here. So
it was Muggsy the whole time.
Big Bubba, he runs out on behalf of Kevin Sullivan, and they shave half of Shark's head as he lay there, and got the Dungeon of Doom just messing with him now. They don't want him to be part of their team. So they shave half of his head. And then I thought this was kind of weird for them to do, but WCW then has another title match for the WCW World Television title. Lex Luger defends against Max with a torture rack. After the match, Mean Gene interviews Luger in the ring and asks about the WCW's committee stripping Diamond Dallas Page of his title match and giving it to Luger at the Great American Bash. Lex says he doesn't make the matches, but nobody wants the Giant more than he does. Mean Gene then brings up the Giant choke slamming Luger through the table into the hard concrete the week before. And Lex said, Giant, he didn't do that to try to win the match. He did that to hurt Luger, to try to take him out of action. So in preparation, Luger said he wants to wrestle every big guy before his match against Giant on June 16th in 3 weeks. So over on Raw, while that's going on, Lex Luger defending Ted DiBiase and Stone Cold are backstage, and Ted said last night was not fair. The power went out at the pay-per-view, so they'll wrestle again tomorrow night. The stipulation still stands that Savio will have to be Ted DiBiase's chauffeur if he loses. But if Stone Cold beats Savio Vega... No. Sorry. If Savio wins... I'm sorry. If
Savio wins, Etep is going to go into a time machine and beat the shit out of all of them.
Exactly. If Stone Cold loses against Savio Vega,
Let's
Ted
get it out.
DiBiase will leave the WWF forever. If Savio Vega loses against Stone Cold, then he'll have to be Ted DiBiase's chauffeur. So this is where we're gonna see the end of Ted DiBiase, because we all know he
I
goes
put my
over to
title on the line,
WCW.
DiBiase. That's it.
Yeah. So now that I completely fucked up Ted DiBiase's angle, Sonny. Now this is something that did happen at the In Your House pay-per-view.
She blew everybody right before they wrestled.
Yeah.
Something
And the
that really
lights hadn't
happened.
even gone out yet. Yeah. She makes her way to the ring with the newly crowned WWF Tag Team Champions, the Smoking Guns. They beat the Godwins the night before in one of the first matches of the pay-per-view. The Smoking Guns defeat the Body Donnas in a non-title match, just to add insult to injury, because she just left the Body Donnas for the Smoking Guns the night before. So,
Yep.
Gotcha.
Skip got cucked.
Yeah, he did.
That'll teach him a lesson.
Yeah.
Chris Candido, you can't keep her happy. Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart and everybody else in the locker room will.
Yes.
Including
And then
the
later
janitor,
Much later on, Dolph Ziggler after everybody else.
referee. I know, right? You got the sloppy seconds of everyone.
Oof.
Now, this is the Nitro again where Scott Hall debuts, but this next segment that took place during that tag match over on WWF, this is the most exciting part of the night for either show. Hard Work Bobby Walker defeats Brad Armstrong.
Yeah. Can I interject here for a second? I was waiting for something to happen during this, and I remember this from when this Nitro aired.
Why not put it between the title matches? Why put the title matches back to back to lead up to Hard Work Bobby Walker?
I'm like, you have in the seven spot. Okay, I know you're trying to push these guys as cruiserweights. At this point, the cruiserweight should be first hour of the show. You know, quick match, get them hyped. These two are two technically proficient guys that have no build to their match, no story. This is what happens when you put workers out in front of a crowd and the guys have like fucking vanilla gimmicks and the crowd doesn't know who the fuck they are. And that's I was waiting for like something to come in and like ruin the match, like happened with the Mauler, Mike Enos and Steve Dahl earlier. Like, I'm like, is Hall gonna come back? I couldn't remember. I'm like, does Hall come back out? You know, but no, the match just went until was it Walker? Yeah, and Walker botched like 3 top rope spots. He tried to jump up there and be all smooth, and he slipped and fell like 3 times.
Yeah,
he had to get up and redo his finisher, which was actually kind of cool if he wouldn't have botched it the first damn time.
Yeah, but it totally wasn't. It was the opposite of cool after he botched that. Hail Keely Chow, thank you for joining us. It did. It took all like the heat, any of the momentum out of
this match should have been, I would say, 2 spot on the card. Like, you could have easily taken. You've got the American males versus Arn and Rick in the 1 spot, which is opening hot. Or you could have moved Steve Dahl versus the Mauler up to the 6 spot. Move this match down. Give him a good solid match at the 2 spot. Have Scott Hall come in the 2nd hour of the show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was
like
bad booking.
That's kind of just looking back. I mean, his entrance still made a huge impact, and it would have either way. But I just think it would have been bigger if you did it like right before the actual semi-main. Well, the semi-main.
You're all wrong. That should have been the closer of the night. You know.
He comes back at the end of the episode too.
What they wanted to do was hook everybody in before Raw came on. So they had Scott Hall debut before Raw was even on the air.
Yeah.
So, this is my bad. The Goldust and Ultimate Warrior match to start this Raw, that was actually a King of the Ring qualifier match, and because of the double count out, they're both out of the tournament now. And I say that because this next match is a King of the Ring qualifier. Vader with Jim Cornette gives Ahmed Johnson his first TV loss. So after the match, Owen Hart, who was doing guest commentary for the bout, came off the top rope with a double axe handle using his arm cast. Or no, that was the finish to the match, as Ahmed covered Vader following a spine buster. Vader ended up hitting the Vader bomb, pinning him, and then after the match, Ahmed was taken on a stretcher where he was eventually revived by Goldust using mouth to mouth.
That's funny. And then freaking he goes crazy.
Yeah, he was enraged.
Like 9 months later, Cody Rhodes was born.
He was opening dressing room doors with Bob Holly. Like, he just had Bob Holly as a weapon, fucking hitting shit with Bob Holly's broken body. Like, holy shit. And he's searching for Goldust. Like, he throws Holly through Goldust's dressing room door, goes in. Goldust is long gone. And that's the end of Raw.
He's been long gone for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the end of Raw. And we may went a little out of order here, but the semi-main event for Nitro is Lord Steven Regal with Jeeves. He defeats Alex Wright with a back bridge.
Good match.
Yeah, it was. I wrote in here which was the real main event of the evening. After the match, Mean Gene interviews Regal and wants to know about his adverse feelings about Americans. Steven Regal says that it's time he has his bloody say in what goes on around here. Mean Gene mentions the fans giving Regal half a peace sign. So Regal calls the fans peasants, and he challenges Sting to a match. And he says if he defeats Sting, he wants a title shot against the circus freak they have as a world champion. So Regal's trying to make his presence felt around WCW. Then we go into the main event, which is Scott Steiner versus Sting. That ends, of course, in a double DQ. During the match, Luger and Rick Steiner came down to be in the corner of their respective tag team partner in the singles match. I guess Scott Steiner goes to suplex Sting under the cement. Luger cheap shotted him. Rick Steiner caught him. Rick and Luger start going to blows. Next thing you know, Luger's in the ring with the Steiners. Sting makes his way back in to help, and the referee and security are all out there holding everyone back. And a whole lot of drama. And, that's normally kind of where Nitro would go off the air. They kick it over to the commentators who hype up the next week's show, talk about what we just saw, and that's what they do. Bischoff and Heenan speak to the camera to close the night, but Scott Hall shows up again at the commentator's booth. He calls Eric Bischoff a Ken doll. Yeah. He says Bischoff has a big mouth and we are sick of it. And Bischoff is like, who's we? And Hall tells Bischoff to tell Billionaire Ted to get 3 of his very best, get whoever they want, because we are taking over. Let's go to war, not on microphones, not on segments, but in the ring where it matters. And that's kind of where we are. That's where Nitro goes off the air for this week. Imagine being like reliving this again, not knowing what's coming up, and you're sitting there watching WCW and fucking Randy Orton or I don't know, somebody you care about shows up. It's just not Dolph Ziggler.
Like The Rock shows up in AEW or some shit,
and
is like, I'm gonna fuck somebody up.
Dude, so, hey, I had a question too, because you were going on Regal. Did they ever give him a proper title, or was it just like the highest he's gotten was like Intercontinental?
That's all. I don't think he was ever a world champion for
Mm-hmm.
any of the major promotions out here. I know, from what I understand, he almost died. Like, he was having a real tough time with drugs and alcohol.
Yeah,
And even
I remember that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and like I think the doctor told him his heart was going to give out, and he only had so many years left or whatever. So Regal got in shape, quit all the shit, started eating right, and
Mhm.
that's when they brought him back to be like the Raw GM.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, he just like turned the momentum around.
Yeah, man. Good for him.
When did Etep drop off? Because I was looking at the notes.
Like
Just a little bit ago.
maybe 2 minutes ago, 3 minutes ago.
Damn. Well, Etep, you're always welcome back, sir.
That's right. He didn't kick you on purpose. You were making so much noise.
I know,
Wink,
right?
wink, nudge, nudge.
Huh. Yeah, I think of Vega from Street Fighter 2, Glinzer.
Mm-hmm.
And that was always like,
Vega was my favorite in Street Fighter. He was the one with the claw and the mask.
Was he the first boss? I'm trying to remember. I think I'm forgetting one.
Maybe?
Maybe it was Balrog, Vega, Sagat, and then M. Bison.
Yeah, that was the order.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was one of the final 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was always crazy because he could climb the fence in the background and fucking jump at you. And
Mm-hmm.
I got a really cool figure of him, one of those SH figure arts.
Nice.
They're like, he's like 6.5 inches or something like that. And he comes with like that fence, that gate.
That's
You
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, you can like recreate it and shit.
The Power Rangers ones of SH figure arts are really good too.
That company is amazing. But yeah, I might do reviews on those guys.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
We'll break it down. I got a few Street Fighters. I love like those classic characters.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Welcome back, Etep.
My internet was having some issues because we are having a big ass ice storm right now. So.
Damn.
Yeah, it just froze all of a sudden. Like I got nothing. I'm like, okay. So I muted my mic. I'm like, and the screen just went down and said, "Sorry, try again." I'm like, "Oh, son of a." All right, did you finish the first Nitro?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was looking at my results, so I didn't even realize you dropped off. But yeah, we talked about Scott Hall going over to the commentator booth, and
Yep.
he kept saying "we," and Bischoff's like, "Who's we?"
Mm-hmm. I loved. He's still using the Razor Ramon accent there. It was.
Yeah.
That was great. Chico. Hey, yo.
Pretty sure, like Chris Fisk, I'm pretty sure like 90% of what Triple H gets credit for the original vision of NXT was not the original or as the TV show, but the actual company, the minor league company. A lot of that was William Regal. A lot of that came from his mind.
Wasn't he just let go recently?
I think so. I think he was one of the people they let go in the Great Purge. Yeah.
Scumbags.
I wouldn't let Regal go, especially with other wrestling promotions up and coming, because dude's a jewel.
Yeah, man. The knowledge he has, what he could train all these people with. Nope. Okay. Damn retarded.
Well, I saw an interview with him, and he was talking about like the two most important things, like professionally to him, or like his talents that he has, is he's really into comedy and being funny, which we saw that translate over through like the Umaga scenes, or when he'd walk down to the fucking ring in a dress one time, and just the facial expressions he made and how he played it off. Like, dude was funny.
Yeah. Well, you gotta also remember too, English, they love wearing dresses.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Very weird. Sorry.
Yes.
No, he was one of my favorite wrestlers, man. That guy, he knew what he was doing. He was entertaining to watch.
Yep.
But I mean, the entertainment that he could and knowledge he could bestow upon these younger wrestlers and teach them how to be funny. You know, I guess you can't really be taught. You either get it or you don't. But
Yep.
like, yeah, he's got a lot to give to the next generation. Yep, and God, I haven't been into Street Fighter in a long time. Like, I haven't played. I don't even think I played 3, 4, 5. I was really into the Street Fighter 2 games though. When that first dropped for like Genesis
Super Street
and Super
Fighter.
Nintendo.
Yep.
Yeah,
I played the crap out of that. I liked using the was it the stretchy guy? I forget his name.
Oh, Dalzim.
Dalzim. Yeah, I liked using him.
Yeah,
because he was super cheap.
Through the fire.
I remember one of my homeboys was ready to cry. He kept whooping his ass at Street. And we're younger, you know, you're kids, and you get frustrated with the game.
Yeah.
And this fucking kid, he was always a little cooler than me in school, and sometimes would show it, but then we'd be alone and he'd be cool. That motherfucker was so red-eyed. I just kept whooping his ass in Street Fighter.
Love it.
Yeah.
Take that, you bastard.
That's like me and my buddy with Soul Calibur 2. I always played Nightmare, and he's like super slow if you don't know how to use him. But if you know what you're doing, he's like really quick. He just fucks you up.
Nice. Soul Calibur 2 is freaking awesome, man.
Oh, it's so good.
That was when you could actually make your own kind of fighter as well. I love the dude with the nunchucks, but I changed them. I made my own. Dude, it was awesome because he fought like Bruce Lee.
Yep.
I wrecked people with that because you could level up the characters too in that other mode. Yeah, dude, it was awesome.
Chris, so, my bad. Go ahead, Vinny.
No, I was gonna say I got him like so powerful, like he could do 2 hits and just kill you.
I need to play Soul Calibur. I haven't played
Maxi.
Yeah.
That's so fun. I used to like get frustrated and like throw the controller or whatever. You know, we're younger, we're kids. You know, bro. Okay, so it was the Lion King video game on Super Nintendo.
Oh shit, that game was a bitch.
Yeah, and it was the Stampede after Mufasa dies, and you have to like. I was so mad. I just like after throwing the controller around for an hour and fucking whining and tearing up and all pissed off, I just calmly I set the controller down and I went and grabbed a pair of scissors and I just cut through the wire on the controller, and that'll make your Super Nintendo reset, people.
Good to know.
Yeah.
All right.
So if you don't want to lose your save states weren't, you know, very big back then. So
He calmly just grabbed the scissors
and cut through that fucking wire.
Holy shit.
Damn.
Yeah. So,
These
are you
games,
a
man.
Dead or Alive fan, Vinny?
A Dead or Alive. I played 2 of those games. I mean,
That's the one with the boob physics, right?
Yeah, like
That's the
it's not a game I got that into. Like I played, I cleared with all the characters. I'm like, okay, that was it. Like I felt like there wasn't enough characters. It was too short. I'm like, I like the idea of you could knock them into like the other parts of the board. That was always cool. But Eternal Champions was a game I fucking loved. I don't know if you guys remember that one.
Eternal Champions.
Was Dead or Alive the chick fighting game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, they made because that's the movie with Jamie Presley. Of course, I would know that.
She's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But Dead or Alive was, I guess, like they did their own kind of knockoff between Mortal Kombat and essentially Bruce Lee's movie there.
I've never played Eternal Champions. I'm looking it up.
It was like this weird, powerful freaking being took people from different time periods. So, like right before the moment of their death. So there's an Egyptian fighter who apparently was getting, I guess, killed by one of his relatives and then thrown into the Nile, and he gets eaten by alligators. So this character takes him before he gets killed, puts him in this fighting tournament, There's this guy who was a vampire. This was a crazy concept. A vampire in Vietnam who knew Jeet Kune Do.
Okay.
His name was Midnight. That character was fucking amazing. And they took him. They took some guy like in the gangster time period who's about to get killed, get shot to shit. And they brought him over. Like it was a bunch of different ones. And at the end, if you survive,
he looks badass.
Yeah, if you could beat this character in the end,
Mhm.
you get brought back into your time, and you could avenge yourself, and like you won't die, and you know you could take
Go
out
hook
whoever
up
that guy
with Peggy Carter. Yeah.
Dude, it was pretty badass. But Midnight, holy shit, that character was amazing. I don't know how they did it, but like in like that kind of graphics, they were mimicking how Jeet Kune Do actually like you could do Bruce Lee's martial art. How he blocked, everything was amazing.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Dude, yeah, it was killer.
Yeah, he is a scientist or whatever in his decade.
Yeah.
And he created a bioweapon or whatever for the Vietnam War.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at his thing right now.
Yeah,
because he said vampire and you got me sold. He got me sold.
Oh, dude, that character was freaking amazing. Yeah, I know you love it. But he looked great. Yeah, so yeah, he could save himself, and then I think he finds a cure, or he creates a cure for himself. I don't remember fully. But yeah, that game was hard as shit though, because you get to that last guy, and you got to fight him in like all different styles. Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah,
Nice.
Adaptive and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Glenzer says this sounds like a better comic than anything Marvel or DC is putting out.
Yeah, I agree,
Easily.
man.
Mhm.
It was on Sega, and then I think Sega CD did like a sequel to it.
That's what Chris is talking about. They made a deluxe edition of Eternal Champions for the Sega CD, and the AI was jacked to obscene levels of difficulty.
Yep, but
See, I stuck with Clay Fighter.
Yeah, that was
I
one of
never got
those.
to play that.
It was one of the games too where if you defeated someone on a certain part of the board, like they maybe have like 10% energy or something, you'd have like one of those crazy overkills. Like something in the background would come and destroy your character and like rip them to shreds, and blood would be everywhere. Dude, it was amazing. There was this one character who was like the king of Atlantis, but he was more of like a sea creature looking guy with a trident on his hand. That dude, his board was insane. There was like some kind of monster that would come out like a kraken or something out of the water, pull you under, and then like spit you out, and you see blood and like bones everywhere.
I've never heard of this. Like this is I wish I had, cause yeah, I loved fighting games.
Yeah, that thing was amazing. The gangster's board was the best because he was in the street in front of like one of those kind of old theaters. And like you see the ticket chick from behind the booth. One of those kills on the board, she would come out with a Tommy gun and shoot you to shit. Or you'd have a drive up with like two different cars, like like the 1920s Ford cars, and they would gun down your character in the street.
Nice. That's awesome. So let's jump into this second week of wrestling here, June 3rd, 1996. Again, we've got that first hour of Nitro before Raw goes on the air, but Nitro is coming to you from Asheville, North Carolina. The weekly winner with the rating point of 3.0 compared to Raw, who's still in Fayetteville, North Carolina, a rating of 2.3. So Nitro begins with Shivani and Sabisco hyping the night, going over the Sharks title match against the Giant last week and all the aftermath with the Dungeon of Doom. Then Mean Gene interviews Shark on the entrance ramp, and half of his head is shaved. He kept the other half. And he says Shark is not a shark. I'm not a shark. I'm not a fish.
He's not a gay fish.
Yeah. He says he's not an avalanche. He is John Tenta, and he will destroy the man who did this to him, talking about Big Bubba. And then he's going to shave the Giant's head after that. So John Tenta goes to the ring and defeats Big Bubba via countout with a very weird referee call. If I were in a wrestling match and I pulled out a pair of scissors on my opponent, don't you think that's probably grounds for a DQ?
Yeah, immediately.
I would say
Unless
so.
you're Sid Vicious fighting with Arn Anderson in a hotel room, but
Yeah.
With a pair of scissors.
This
right?
this wasn't the case here. Big Bubba very wisely saw the pair of scissors and got out of the ring, so the ref counted him out. Like, he's literally saying, get back in here with this pair of scissors and this angry 500-pound man, or I'm gonna make you lose the match. Well, take the match. I'm okay.
Is that when
So-
Sid Vicious came in?
He's half the man that you are.
How
Yeah.
could you be that big of a guy and that big of a pussy in the same breath?
Oh,
Shit.
Sid mastered it.
I don't know anyone who really likes Sid.
When he
he's
first appeared,
nobody's
like
favorite wrestler.
his his
No.
look was good, and you thought he would do something more, and he never did.
No,
Yep.
I'm the ruler of the world.
You can't even spell world, Sid.
Like, his lines were something like a 6-year-old would say.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember my
Yeah.
cousin told me. He goes, "That guy had a major accident." So what are you talking about? He goes, "He shit his pants in the fucking ring."
I heard that.
Oh
I
my,
heard
oh my
that.
god! I
Yeah.
forgot who he was fighting. Like, what would you, Etep? What would you do if somebody did that? If they just shit themselves in the ring and you still had to fight them?
As a heel, I would fucking powder and I would walk out. I would audible it and I would powder and I would walk. I would throw the storyline out and I would just be like, nope, 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 and just walk out. For me in that situation, professionalism, I'm throwing that to the wind.
Yeah.
And it's all about self-preservation and not getting the poo on me kicking wing.
Yeah.
So you can call me kicking ass and I'm kicking rocks and I'm out. Like I'm powdering and I'm out of there.
Shit, man, that's
Nope. I don't care. I never
Hepatitis.
It happens too. It does happen. Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
it's just,
more
that's
than you
what Sid's
think.
known for. Yeah, that's just what, like, other wrestlers had other things going on, but that's the most interesting part of Sid is that he shit his pants.
Yep.
So,
Isn't that sad?
yeah,
Fucked up.
What's the
The,
legacy he left behind? He won a championship? Nope, he shit his pants in the ring. I know they said, what do you call it? Kurt Hennig. He also, one of those times that they had a group of those guys had to like pop up out from underneath the ring, and they were there most of the show. He had to go, so he had like a cup of water he was drinking, and he shit in the cup.
I could see that.
Oh
That's
my
fucked
God.
up.
You don't know if it was a
Underrated.
rib or if you really had to go.
Smells like shite under the ring.
it's like everyone's wrestling the whole night. Like, what is that? Like, every
Why does
time
it
you
smell
get
like
slammed
poo?
down, yeah.
Hey, be careful when you take that ring apart.
So, next up, the Faces of Fear, Ming and the Barbarian
Shit,
defeat
vicious.
High.
Sorry, I just said Chris's comment.
He's shit in the Undertaker's yard. you know?
Shit vicious.
That's good.
Oh god.
So, speaking of shit vicious or vicious shit, it's the debut match for High Voltage. Dude, do you think they defeated the Faces of Fear?
Of course not, because they're two jacked out baby faces. They're gonna lose. Because you're working Ming and the Barbarian. Dude, I honestly liked High Voltage when they changed, because he went from, it was Kenny Chaos and Robbie Ruckus, they called him at first, and later it was Robbie Rage, I think. They changed his name to, which sounded better, Ruckus. They kept calling him that. I'm like, that sounds so dumb. I forgot about that. I thought it was always Robbie Rage. I couldn't remember. But no, they jobbed these guys out so bad. They were like decent workers from the power plant. Their gimmick didn't do them any favors. But they were solid workers. I think they could have done a little bit more. But this Faces of Fear got a babyface pop this match. Like, dude, they were over. Like, everything they did, the crowd popped for.
Yeah. It just feels like the one person to actually get a break on their way in botched his fucking finisher. All these Fire and Ice and High Voltage and was it Public Enemy?
Yep.
Yeah, like so many people lose on their debut and they're telling you how vicious this team is, and it's like it sure doesn't look like that to me. So
Yeah.
Mean Gene and this guy put in overtime tonight. A lot of Mean Gene tonight. Mean Gene is backstage with Luger and Sting. He asks Luger after tonight with the Steiners what's going to be left of Luger for the pay-per-view, because Luger is wrestling the Giant for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Luger and Sting begin to lightly argue over what exactly happened last week between them and the Steiner brothers, and they go over Scott trying to suplex Sting on the floor, Luger cheap-shotting him. Next thing you know, the Steiner brothers come into the locker room. They start arguing over Mean Gene. Then Luger and Scott Steiner get into a shoving contest. Mean Gene is telling the Steiners, get out of here. Like, how dare you come in here and interrupt my interview? I'll never interview you two again if you don't get out of here now. So it's building up heat for the main event tonight, which is going to be Sting and Luger versus the Steiners in a non-title
versus
match.
Mean Gene.
Yeah.
Versus Trey.
Hey, but before
Tell him how good I was beating you up.
Hey.
He works
Hey, buddy.
stiff, man. I ain't working with this cat no more. Holy hell, how you were laying the kicks and the stomps in, weren't you?
Yes.
Dude,
I was like, dude.
he had me down, and I worked him over a little bit, and I'd sell for him. I didn't have to sell. He was stomping the hell out of me.
And Dad, tell him I ran into you.
Oh, he was clotheslining me too. I sat up and let him run across the living room and hit me with a line.
Jeez.
I got to teach him the Steiner line.
You do. Be careful, man.
Get him jumping off the couch, dropping elbows on me.
Etep's going to be going into work, and they're like, what happened to you? I fell down the stairs. I fell into a doorknob. That's what happened.
Glenzer, I hope I can remember that. I'm always going to call John Tinted Jabberjaw.
Jabberjaw.
I love it.
All right.
Fire cookie.
I suck.
All right, say goodnight.
Hey, this
What? Oh,
this
no,
guy.
not Tails. Ow! All right, say goodnight, buddy.
Good night.
I don't think
He
so.
wants a kiss.
I'm going to throw Tails out the door.
Tails is Kevin Sullivan
Tails.
and Etep is Prince
Tails is
Iakia.
All right, say goodnight, Trey.
Okay.
Say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night, buddy.
Good night,
Ah,
Trey.
help me.
Night, Trey.
All right.
He just punched him in the face.
He did. He did.
Kevin Sullivan kind of looks like Tails. I mean, that would work.
Yeah, he had to light me up before he left. Of course he did. Of course he did.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So, where were we?
We just got through Mean Gene's promo with Luger and Sting.
So- Our first of 17 Hulk Hogan vignettes plays tonight.
American made.
Our first of 17, so everyone hang tight. There'll be more Hogan, don't worry.
We get
Yeah,
more Hulk
brother.
Hogan.
Yeah, bro. There's more Hogan. Just ask, Elizabeth. Yeah, brother. That's bad. Hey, do you think before Mean Gene left WWF, he also banged Sonny?
Or Stephanie.
Mean Gene. Hey, Stephanie, how you doing? Let me introduce you. I was down on South Beach last night at the clubs down there watching Ric Flair, and whoo, I saw Stephanie. I was like, hey.
What time?
I remember when I used to change her diapers.
And now I got you singing Tutti Frutti.
Yes. So, next up we get Sergeant Craig Pittman with Teddy Long, and he defeats Disco Inferno. Disco looked bad in this match, acted like a pussy, and then Pittman went to apply the Code Red, his submission hold, and Disco tapped before the hold was even applied.
Yep.
Wow.
But if I didn't tap, I wouldn't be able to do this for you guys. I wouldn't be able to do this. That's exactly what he did. He was in the camera in the corner. If I was smart. If I would be able to do this if he broke my arm. I'm like, Oh man,
How high was that guy during that match?
Yeah,
Glenn probably very.
be a good politician. So, Lord Lord Steven Regal with Jeeves defeats Hacksaw Jim Duggan via roll up, and this was a pretty entertaining match. Just the chemistry between like the big hulking kind of dumb American chasing after the dignified British man, you know, um, nice chemistry between the two. Then Mean Gene is in the
Of
ring to
course.
interview Regal, and he mentions that Regal was fined for what essentially was a backhand to Sting's face on WCW main event, and he slapped Sting. He
Did you hear
backhanded
that?
the
When he
motherfucker.
hit
Yeah.
him, it was like, I mean, that was stiff. I'm like, ooh,
Like-
because you saw Sting kind of went down like, damn. Like,
Yeah, he backhanded Sting.
he lit. Well, Regal worked stiff though. He worked the strong
Yeah.
style.
Yeah.
And yeah, if he was gonna hit you, he was gonna light you up, and he lit Sting up.
Yeah. And Regal says not only did he pay the fine, he doubled it. So now he's in credit. And
Yep.
he's going to wrestle Sting at the Great American Bash. And he wants Sting at his best. He wants Sting ready to go. He wants Sting to want to get his hands on him, So this should be an interesting couple weeks until the Great American Bash.
Ooh. Can I introduce the next, because we got that hype package building up the feud for the Great American Bash. The feud
Yes.
between Kevin Sullivan and Chris Benoit. Kevin Sullivan, who booked himself into a divorce, ladies and
From a
gentlemen.
beautiful woman. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He didn't deserve look at him and look at woman.
He was a troll. Like Kevin Sullivan
He
was a
was.
little fucking troll.
And
Like
what's up with the Hulk Hogan gear?
Yeah, he's still
Yeah.
wearing the Hogan tights and like the headband. I'm
Yeah.
like, and then like he's cutting that promo and he's like, and Hulkamania's still around. I'm like, what are you talking? Shut up. Like the Dungeon of Doom is like a horrible stable. Like I did not ever like them at all. Like I was like, it's just where they threw the misfit toys. That's what it was.
Yep.
It was just the Dungeon of Doom was the land of misfit toys. But yeah,
Yes, they
that-
were. Can you guys take over for like just
Yeah.
2 seconds? Cool.
Yeah. So they're building, like I said, they're building to this program, this blow off of this feud between, because it's the Horsemen versus the Dungeon of Doom, and Sullivan says he took out Pillman. He took him right out of the company. He beat him so bad he quit in that strap match. I think it was, I don't know if it was Slamboree, I think, because Pillman quit and then Arn Anderson took over. And that's when Pillman was basically gone from WCW at that point. So, but they're building
real
this
quick
now.
Going back to Sullivan for a second.
Yeah.
She did start banging Chris.
Oh yeah, he booked that whole angle where she would leave him and end up with Benoit. I believe it was after a certain time, and that's when they kind of split up because her and Benoit were already pretty much bumping uglies at that point.
Yeah. And is that the one that he ultimately married and then murdered?
Yeah. Yep. And their son Daniel, which he has another son that's still around, and I think I can't remember if he's a worker or not.
I think he was.
I thought he was at one point. I wonder, dude, if I was his kid, I'd still come out and I'd do the gimmick. I would. I don't care, man. His dad's. I look at his dad like, yeah dude, he's one of the best workers ever. He's in my book, man. One of the most still underrated. But all the bad shit he did at the end, which was terrible, horrible, unforgivable shit. The man was still a transcendent figure in the sport. He was. I will die on that fucking hill. Absolutely, any day. One of my favorite matches of all time is him versus Too Cold Scorpio from I can't remember what pay-per-view it was, 93. I think it was a fucking great, a 17.5-minute match.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I remember my cousin used to bring me the tapes and stuff. He was like, oh man, you got to see this. He'd be recording with the VCR and shit. Yeah, man.
He was the Pegasus Kid back in the day. He used to work under a mask and shit. Yeah, he was badass, dude. Benoit was. Yeah, he was like Dynamite Kid Jr. Is basically what Chris Benoit was. You know, Kevin Sullivan, like he had a decent career back through the 80s, and you know, in like Crockett and all the NWA. He was part of some decent mid-level cards, but to me, yeah, he was never more than like a mid card worker. You know, I mean, as a booker,
right? And his look though, he was always like the like that fucking like the stocky guy. Like he was wide, but he was a little guy, wasn't he?
He was like he was like Taz. He was like Taz. Like that's kind of, I think they're pretty much like the same. What up, Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective?
What up, Tommy?
But yeah, I that's me. Like Sullivan was like he was another Taz, but he couldn't really work. Like Taz could work. Like Sullivan was he was very vanilla. Like there was never anything about his in-ring work that stood out to me.
Nope.
At all. Like at all. Like it's the Dungeon of Doom gimmick. We're gonna destroy Hulkamania. You know, that was.
Yeah, it was dumb.
That went over like a lead balloon. You know, the Yeti. You had, you know, I don't know. You got Brutus Beefcake wrestling. Is what the hell was his name in that? It wasn't Damien. It was.
Benoit has a son and a daughter that are still living.
Okay,
David and Megan.
Okay. All right.
Are they both in this? Or one of them?
David shows up at WWE like events backstage in like Canada and stuff. So he wants to. I think he's trying to get into the biz, and he's friends with Jericho and Malenko.
Yeah, wasn't it Jericho that helped get like the family talking again or something too? He was responsible for something with the Benoit situation.
Yeah, he's like he got his he what is it? Nobody from WWE reached out to Benoit's kid.
Right.
And then
of course
Jericho.
they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, because wasn't it like his aunt or something was raising them? Yeah. And there was it was a weird situation, but it's like anyone could have stepped up and done something. And I'm glad Jericho did, because he sounds like he's one of the few people who is a genuine person. You know?
Yeah. Nancy is his stepmom. It was Chris had this son like before him and Nancy were together, and then he would come down there and visit with Daniel, and that's basically what happened. And you know, something else that I've heard people say in the past, and it's true, especially going back and watching. It really sucks that Nancy Benoit's career was basically erased and disregarded because of this, because she was great. Like these segments with Ric Flair and running around with the Horsemen, it's great. She's doing a great job, and you kind of can't acknowledge her work now, you know?
Yeah. Her theme manager.
You're roboting just a little.
It's my internet. Sorry.
Fucking ice storm. I blame Glacier.
Shit, even Glacier blames Glacier at this point.
Did he show up yet?
Not yet. But they keep running segments. They didn't run one these past 2 episodes.
Yeah, that's what I was surprised.
Yeah. Like that. They're so weird like that. They run these Glacier segments like 2-3 weeks in a row and then 2 weeks and nothing. So, what did Glazer see? WWE didn't reach out to Benoit's kid or China. Cold-hearted. Yeah, this is the same company that like 24 hours after Brian Pillman died, Vince asked his wife Melanie if she would do an interview from her home. They put it up on the Titantron. And Vince is like, now this had to do with something about WWE wasn't involved in this death, right? It had to do with him taking pills or something. Some real harsh, like 24
that's
hours
crazy.
after his death.
Yeah.
Just heartless.
Yep. Monsters. Fucking gross.
You know. And yeah, that was a blatant Sub-Zero ripoff. Like Bischoff even talks about Mortal Kombat was popular, so he's like, might as well. And I get it, that's not bad being in touch.
That's why they did
culture,
the Kiss wrestler as well, the Demon.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
Except that was Glacier. I could see Mortal Kombat was hot as shit. The Demon was like 30 years too late.
True.
You think?
Like they're like a Kiss wrestler.
His build up was great, and then they just
yeah. Fuck, I forgot about the Kiss wrestler.
Yeah.
And Gene Simmons is such a douche. We had to deal with him with those McFarlane figures. And
yeah.
What a penny pinching miser.
Hey, I'm right here. Stop calling me names, all right?
All right, they come back and they talk about me being a Jew, huh? I see how it is.
No, we were talking about the other Jew.
Ah, son of a bitch.
We're talking about Gene Simmons.
Oh, yeah, there was the Glacier. You're talking about Glacier promos. There was one mid-match during the Regal and Alex Wright match. Going into commercial, they had a Glacier spot. The blood runs cold.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Hail Small Time Republic.
Hey, small time.
Yeah, Johnny B. Bad just left WCW, and they actually mentioned him on the show because they accidentally advertised him versus Vader. And they're like, neither of them play here anymore with the big boys. But yeah, he's a wild man now. He's feuding with Triple H over in WWF over Sable.
So he can lose his wife to Brock Lesnar.
Everyone's losing their wives tonight.
That's wrestling, baby. That's wrestling.
Kevin Sullivan, Mark Marrow, they probably like started a little club together.
Think about it. Jeff Jarrett is like the white ladies man. Like, didn't he took Deborah from Mongo, and then Stone Cold took her. But he took Kurt Angle's wife too, Karen, like as a shoot. I'm pretty sure he was nailing his dude. Even if your old lady ain't a ring rat in the business, if you bring her around the business, she'll end up being a ring rat.
Yeah.
It fucking happens. She's around it, she'll be a ring rat.
Yep. So, where did you leave off, Etep?
Okay, so we went through Disco, Craig. We went through the Mean Gene interviews, Regal.
And then Kevin Sullivan and Benoit.
We covered that. So we're at Prince Nakamaki, Iakea, making his debut versus Kevin Sullivan. And this was a fucking squash match. Another kid that's very talented. Like, actually.
Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah, and you let Kevin Sullivan just destroy this fucking kid.
Yeah. Bad. I mean, this match was like under like a minute and a half, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah. Easily.
Like, it's his debut on Nitro, and this balding old guy in Hogan gear fucking squashed him.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, he had like a couple good matches on WCW Saturday Night, and they bring him up to Nitro, and hey, we're gonna have you job out to this little fat fuck. How about that? How about no? How about I just stay on Saturday Night and win?
Yeah, like if it was the Giant or Luger or something, I could see it, but it's Kevin Sullivan. So.
Yeah. Like, what sense? I would have said, what sense does that make to for my momentum? If you're debuting me and you have me job to this little guy, like, what does that say about me? You know.
So Mean Gene, who is working his ass off tonight, he interviews Kevin Sullivan and Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart's asking Kevin Sullivan, like, why are we even in business with Flair and Anderson? The Dungeon of Doom is on top of the world right now. We have the Giant as the world champ. We don't need these fools. And Sullivan mentions that Hulk Hogan will be back and he'll be coming after all of them, and they need to prepare. And the two people in the business that he respects is Flair and Anderson. So yeah, they need to be on guard because Hogan's going to come back and he's coming for blood. So
that doesn't sound healthy.
No. So we're
By
basically
blood, does he mean someone else's wife or child?
I think so.
Sorry.
No, he's just talking like he's Benoit.
Damn.
So,
Hey, brother, they were gonna strangle. Never mind.
Ric Flair and Arn Anderson versus the Rock and Roll Express are up next, and this is where Nitro shows kind of its weirdness and its not so good production values. Not only do they switch commentators while the match is basically in progress, like these people come out and start wrestling at like 8:58.
They hadn't. I don't think they started the match yet because the countdown was going on when they were still doing introductions, and then they switched. They switched because it was the top of the hour. Then they hit all the pyro. It was a little jarring. It was a little
very jarring. But yeah, they switch over the commentators, and then no, they were having the match when the pyro hit because I remember they stopped having the fucking match, and Arn Anderson's looking up and shit, and it's like, why wouldn't you just do the fucking pyro, switch over, and then bring them out?
Yeah.
But they no. During a wrestling match in progress, they fucking let off all the pyro above the ring on the entrance ramp, and it was weird. So since we're still over here, we'll just cover this before we jump over to Raw's opening. But after their victory, because of course Flair and Arn Anderson beat the Rock and Roll Express.
That sucked. I loved seeing them on Nitro.
Yeah. The old man, Mean Gene, interviews the Horsemen. Arn said that, and that's something else too. When they came out for their match, Ric Flair was wearing Kevin Green's football jersey, and Arn Anderson was wearing Steve Mongo McMichael's. Arn said that Mongo's jersey was small. It would barely fit his 10-year-old, much less him. They're smarter, and they're bigger, and they're tougher. Flair says the jerseys were a gift from Deborah McMichael. Bobby Heenan gets called over, and Mean Gene asks if they're going to be, if he's going to be managing Flair and Anderson at the Great American Bash. Heenan says people all over the world want Heenan to manage them. He gets calls from everywhere, but he promised himself he would never manage again. And Flair's like, come on, man, what about the girls? And they're trying to talk Heenan into being their manager at the pay-per-view. So Heenan pulls out a football trophy for his management skills. He worked for John Madden, and he says he won't be managing at the Great American Bash, but he will be coaching Flair and Anderson. So we've had multiple Hogan segments this evening, and now it's time for another one. And the fun part is, we go to commercial after like this 20-second Hogan promo. And now we come back for a long montage of Hulk Hogan. Like he's getting more airtime than Prince Iaukea did, and he had a match, like long Hogan montage of just him getting victories, getting over on people, the awesomeness that's Hulkamania.
Ruining careers.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's how Nitro starts.
Ruining careers, brother. Banging wives and making kids take steroids.
Yeah. That's how Nitro starts its second hour here. Over on Raw. Again, Fayetteville, North Carolina. Weekly loser with a rating point of 2.3. The night begins with Bob Holly taking on Stone Cold Steve Austin in a first-round King of the Ring qualifying match. Ted DiBiase is no longer with Austin when he comes out, as Savio Vega won the strap match at In Your House. Now, Steve Austin, even though he lost it In Your House, he does defeat Bob Holly via submission with the $1 Million Dream to progress forward in the King of the Ring King of the Ring tournament. After the match, Jerry Lawler versus Ultimate Warrior is announced for King of the Ring, since Lawler had got up to save Marlena the week before from Ultimate Warrior. And Mankind versus Undertaker will also go down on the pay-per-view. Over on Nitro, we get WCW World Heavyweight Champion, The Giant, defeating Ice Train. Fairly quickly, they're staring each other down. Ice Train's a big guy, but he looks small compared to Giant. After staring each other down for a minute, Giant goes and stretches on the rope, so Ice Train goes to do the same thing. Jimmy Hart grabs his ankle. He turns around to stare down Jimmy Hart, and Giant just walks over and choke slams him and pins him. And he just lays there like with his hands behind his head like it's no, big deal.
Yep.
So,
as he flexed on him. Flexed on him.
Yeah. And as Giant celebrating, Scott Norton, who's Ice Train's tag partner, runs in the ring, and he's like, what the fuck to the Giant? And then goes to check on his tag partner. Giant pretends to leave. As soon as Scott Norton's not paying attention, Giant runs back in, gives him double axe handle to the back, and then lifts Scott Norton up and choke slams him twice for giving him lip. And he just laid out this dominant tag team of Fire and Ice that we've seen either lose on Nitro or fight to a double countout, double DQ. Yep. But they're pushing them on commentary like they're the greatest tag team to have existed. So weird booking again. It's been a few weeks and you already fed them to the Giant, so not good for Fire and Ice.
No.
Yeah. So over on Raw, while that's going on, Mankind comes out for his match against Barry Horowitz. I'll let you guys guess who won this one.
Oy vey.
Yeah. So after... Yeah. Mankind is entertaining to watch right now, though. This is some good stuff.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah. And Foley's in shape. And
I was going to say he wasn't big fat Mankind yet.
Nope.
Yeah. So,
although he always had junk in the trunk.
Yes, he did. Tank ass.
A lot of people like this fat guy.
Dude was thick. Like he always had some ass. So.
Yep.
Yeah. He beat Barry. Hairy thunder thighs.
What?
So he defeats Barry Horowitz with the mandible claw, and then Jim Ross comes down to interview Mankind in the ring and pimp his barbecue sauce. Mankind says he hopes Taker will finally stand up and show a little pride, because Mankind's just been giving it to Taker for weeks now. Mm-hmm. But maybe before King of the Ring, Undertaker will realize there's no sense in fighting a man who has nothing to lose. You can't take his ear, it's already gone. You can't take his teeth, they're already gone. And out of everything that is gone, Mankind misses his mind the most. Solid stuff.
His promos are good.
Which is also ironic because he was losing his mind.
Oh, yeah.
Poor son of a bitch.
Like, stop leaving messages on my answering machine, dude. Do you know what I'm like? The night that King of the Ring happened, 98, with the Hell in the Cell, and like the guy for Beyond the Mat, the dude making the documentary, he was in like touch with Mick Foley. You know, he kind of followed Mick Foley around for part of that, and
Right.
Mankind called his fucking phone and left like this long, incoherent message after the King of the Ring match. And he even says in the documentary, I don't even remember calling him, but he's just in there, and he's just talking to this dude's answering machine who is making the documentary.
That's fucking funny.
Yeah, that's
Mind
crazy.
gone. Yeah.
I remember
was
when his
fucking
daughter said
concussed.
that too. That they would get worried every time he would try to go for a walk or something because he didn't remember how to go back to his house, and he was only like 2 blocks away.
Yeah.
After
And
those bumps he took in that match, though, I mean,
what
They're
messed him up
lucky.
was
Oh, I was gonna say they're lucky that he didn't do a pull of Benoit. But what messed him up the most? What were you saying, Tony?
yeah, so it wasn't when Taker threw him off the cage, but the middle part of the Hell in the Cell, they didn't mean for that to break.
yeah.
Taker
Right.
was just supposed to choke slam him, but it gave through. He falls all the way down to the mat, and then the chair that was laying up there with him fucking fell and smacked him right in the mouth. And then the head, and that's what really fucked him up in that match, because that wasn't supposed to happen.
Right.
I remember watching it live, like, oh my God, like, I didn't know
brutal.
it wasn't planned then, but just like, how much more can this dude take?
Yeah, that was some frightening shit. I remember Undertaker said it too. He thought that he died. He was standing up there like, what the fuck?
Yeah. The fucking cage just gave way.
Yeah, and then when he thought he had a piece of snot that was on his face and it was his tooth that went through.
Yeah.
Christ.
Fucking
That's too much, man.
I will always remember, like, there are different pay-per-views I think back of, like, now I think I was watching it in this one room in my house, and I'm like, oh, that was this year. I wasn't even living there anymore, you know? I know I saw it, but it was, you know, it's faded memory. I will always remember where I was when I was watching King of the Ring 1998. Like, the match, my reaction, that shit was crazy.
Yeah, that was fucking... You don't want to see people dying.
Yeah. So, oh, I forgot. After the Giants match, by the way, Mean Gene interviewed him, and the Giant asks what we're all asking, basically. Why are they running all these segments of Hulk Hogan? Giant is the heavyweight champion, and he wants to take the total package out the most, and they'll face off here in a couple more weeks at the Great American Bash. So Scott Norton defeats Hugh Morris, and then we get another really bad early 90s looking montage of Steve Mongo McMichael and Kevin Green. They're creating a game plan against Flair and Anderson, and this goes on for entirely too long. I don't know who, like, they had to edit it and produce it. Like, who had to sit through that 20 times and was thinking this is what everyone's going to want to see?
I don't know.
Yeah. So, next up, because they had the pay-per-view issues over on WWF, they only got to do part of the show on Sunday and then had to do the rest of the pay-per-view on Tuesday. They tonight are giving us footage of HBK defending against Bulldog at the pay-per-view. And the gist is one of the refs got knocked out, another one ran in, and then a little while later, both refs woke up as Sean and Bulldog both hit the mat with their arm draped over each other, and each referee counted the pinfall for the other guy. Both of their shoulders were on the mat.
I got me title shot.
Yes. So close. The closest he'll ever come to that title. So they'll rematch into the ring. Ah, son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch. There.
Boomer sooner. So Goldust is masturbating on a gold couch as Vince interviews him. He's like backstage on a gold couch. I mean, rubbing himself all over the place. And
Yeah, that always. I would change the channel every time I saw that stupid character.
yeah. Oh, it gets better. He asks him about Ahmed Johnson and giving him mouth to mouth last week and all that. And Goldust claimed he saved Ahmed's life, giving him mouth to mouth, the breath of life. So they go back and forth about Ahmed a little bit more. Goldust makes a few chocolate jokes, and then he opens up a candy bar, a bar of chocolate, and starts eating it seductively to Vince. And he calls, I mean this, he called Ahmed Johnson the mighty Mandingo.
Jesus.
And said they'll fight for the IC title at King of the Ring. Goldust is going to defend. I can't believe he called him that. It was like out of a Quentin Tarantino movie. Like, holy shit.
I do remember that.
As he's laying there with just the belt covered.
So creepy.
God.
Like 600 bitches.
What's worse? Like, that's worse than calling Mark Henry the Silverback. Like, holy shit.
Hey, it's
with
this Goldust or 7. Take your pick.
Yeah, 7 was very. That was a very that guy with the island type angle, and he hated that. He hated that gimmick.
Richard Branson.
Yeah,
Well,
we'll use Richard Branson.
You know, his island was only a couple miles away from the other one.
That's not a shock.
I don't trust the billionaire who's got teeth that yellow. Sorry.
No. Did you talk about the Scott Norton match?
Him versus Hugh Morris.
Yeah, how Hugh botched his finisher and Scott kind of.
I missed that part.
He went to hit the moonsault, and Norton was supposed to catch him and body slam him, and Norton kind of it was a little mistimed, and Norton couldn't. I mean, Hugh's 260 pounds. I mean, Norton probably should have been able to catch him, but I think he should have been about 2 feet forward and kind of dropped him, and then he just kind of covered him up, and Norton went over.
I've got to hook up my other monitor so I can see the chat while I'm reading results, because I didn't say hi to Tina Bojan. That was like 10 minutes ago. What a real
Tina
host.
Bojan.
Hi, Tina.
Yeah.
Tina.
So if you're still there, thank you for joining us. And even if not, thanks for stopping in.
Yep.
Shit. So. Yeah, sorry, I'm reading another. Later, all great stream. Thank you, Gap Stargate. Probably too late now, but I will, because I'm over reading the results on a Microsoft Word document, so I can't see the chat. And like, if you guys come in late, I won't see you backstage at first. So I will, I'll hook up my second monitor so I can pay better attention to that.
This is why we can't have nice things, Tony.
I know.
You've got to do better.
So
I still like you, Tony.
I have 2 monitors and I need another one.
yeah, I know. So we're at the main event now for Nitro. The WCW World Tag Team Champions, Sting and Lex Luger, wrestle Rick and Scott Steiner in what I believe is a non-title match, but that's not going to matter anyway, because we got a WCW finish. Towards the end of the match, basically Luger throws Scott Steiner towards the ropes. Giant shows up, pulls the top rope down. Steiner goes over. Sting and Rick are already out of the ring, so that just leaves Luger. And Giant goes in there and goes to go after him. Next thing you know, Sting runs in. They're both going at it with the Giant, but the Giant's holding the tag champs off. And then this was fun to see. Scott Steiner recovered and went in, so it was Luger, Sting, and Scott Steiner, which they had a problem with the Steiners earlier in the evening, and they fucking teamed up against the Giant. That was that if for ending in a no contest, the match, that was a pretty cool thing to see. They end up knocking Giant over the top rope, but the Giant lands on his feet.
Mhm.
And during this match, Macho Man called in.
Mm-hmm.
And he mentioned his suspension. He's not able to wrestle on WCW TV. It's just they didn't say anything about coaching. So if Heenan is coaching Flair and Arn Anderson at the Great American Bash, Savage is offering his coaching services to Steve Mongo McMichael and Kevin Green. Heenan tries to talk Macho Man down, but Macho Man calls him weak. And for the rest of the episode, Heenan's just like, Savage, listen, if you're watching, you don't have to show up, man. This is nothing personal, you know. But Savage is going to be at the Great American Bash.
Mhm.
So, and that's what happens. Heenan's pleading with Randy Savage here at the end of the episode. Bischoff's recapping the night, and Scott Hall shows back up. He calls Bischoff a Ken doll again and says if they want a war, we will bring one. And at this point, it gets interesting. Sting confronts Scott Hall at the commentator booth and asks Hall if he knows where he is. This is the jungle, baby. This is WCW. And Hall mentioned he wanted 3 of WCW's best, but Sting doesn't see anyone with Hall, so why not one-on-one? Why not Sting versus Hall right now? Hall says no one tells him what to do or when to do it. And talk about stiff slaps. Sting slapped the shit out of Scott Hall. So Hall tells Sting, he's like, well, next week I've got a big surprise for you. And that's how Nitro goes off the air.
Well,
Now, he says he has a big surprise for him. So you're thinking, oh, that's got to be Kevin Nash. But then when you jump off of the channel back to the main menu of Peacock, the still for the next episode, the thumbnail comes up, and it's fucking Kevin Nash sitting there talking like fucking classic, guys. Great job. Great job.
Yep.
So Goldust was masturbating and eating chocolate, and then now we have the Godwins.
That sounds like a fun night.
Well, it's like, what else do you want to see after Goldust masturbates and eat chocolate than the Godwins?
I know, right?
All of a sudden I want Ghirardelli.
Goddamn.
McMahon would be like, "Oh, don't forget to put a camera on."
Bobby Lashley. So Henry and Phineas Godwin with Hillbilly Jim defeat the Techno Team 2000 after Henry hit the slop drop. The Godwins will wrestle the Smoking Guns for the tag titles at King of the Ring in a rematch. And the Body Donnas are searching for a new manager now that Sonny's left them for the Smoking Guns. Clarence Mason, Jim Cornette's lawyer. Does anybody care about Clarence Mason? Like, at all? Something about
really.
HBK assaulted him, and it's just this is
Yeah,
why
nobody
you
cared.
fail, Vince. This is why you fail. So, next, after that, the main event, and this is a pretty good match. We get a King of the Ring qualifying match. Jake Roberts versus recently in trouble Hunter Hearst Helmsley because of the curtain call incident. So this match wasn't bad. It wasn't. Jake Roberts and Triple H. It was a little better than I thought it would be. Entertaining. Definitely ends. And this was supposed to be Hunter's year. He was scheduled to win this Royal Rumble or this King of the Ring. But because of the curtain. Yeah. So he eats a fat DDT from Jake Roberts. Jake the Snake makes the pin. And he'll actually go on in the finals of this tournament to wrestle Steve Austin at the pay-per-view. So, but that's still a few matches away. Until then, he gets Damien out of the sack. And he starts fucking teasing, shoving the snake down Triple H's pants.
Hey, at that point, he wasn't banging Stephanie yet, right?
Not yet. He was still in
Oh,
China,
I
think.
thought you were talking
Oh.
about Jake the Snake. I was like,
Oh.
I think you mean Macho Man, but you meant Triple H.
Oh shit! Talk about a ring rat. The boss is
He's
ring
like,
rat.
no, I think Jake too. So, yeah, and that was the end of Raw, the King of the Ring qualifying match. That's the only shine they'd give Hunter for the King of the Ring, the tournament he was supposed to win. But again, not a horrible match either. At least you get to say, hey, I've wrestled Jake the Snake Roberts before, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. So, good night. It's not going to stand. I mean, you have Scott Hall on one channel fucking getting in Sting's face, and on the other channel, you have Triple H and Jake the Snake, and aging Jake the Snake.
Yeah.
He was what, maybe 4 or 5 years away from whipping it out on. It's some really piss poor, fucking backyard type wrestling.
Yeah,
Yep.
high school auditorium.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, Jake the Snake. He's fat, extra fat, high off his ass on coke, and he's like pissing on the fucking people. Good lord.
it's like the options here either have my crack or I won't show up. But this is what happens when you show up. Raw, so they lost both these weeks in the ratings. They're gonna win one more week, and then I think we go into our 83, 85, 87, however long their 80-something win streak on Nitro's part. So Raw's basically got one more winning week in here, and then it's gonna be a long time before they beat Nitro again. 1997. No, it's I think it's when Mankind. I think they beat him in 97, but then Nitro will never beat Raw again after Mankind wins the WWF Championship. Something like that. We'll get there, but we're heading into Nitro's little victory streak over WWF, so things are about to pick up.
Oh yeah.
So, any thoughts on the episodes, you guys?
Man, I just look at Nitro like it's ready to pop off right now.
Mhm.
You know, this is the time where it catches fire is next week, really. And then you've got that hardcore momentum leading into the Bash of the Beach pay-per-view. You've got Great American Bash coming up.
Yep.
Man, I'm gonna watch the pay-per-views now.
I
too,
watched Great
especially-
American Bash, and yeah, it was good.
I haven't watched it yet. I'm gonna do that before next week. I'm probably gonna watch that one, and I got how long is till King of the Ring yet? What, like a couple weeks?
So it's the next week. We're going to have the Great American Bash on the 16th of the month, and then on the 23rd is King of the Ring. So we'll talk about probably Great American Bash next week, and then King of the Ring the week after.
All right, excellent.
Nice.
Do you feel like name a more iconic marketing strategy than Randy Savage and Slim Jim, right? Like that followed him through promotions and stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
I feel like they missed an opportunity with
They-
Gold Dust and Hershey's bars.
I don't think you mentioned it, but they mentioned Scott Hall on WWE and how that he's not affiliated. They're not affiliated with the WWE anymore.
He's not affiliated with WWF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, did they mention that?
Yes, they did.
Okay. All right.
3 months from now, Diesel and Razor are coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, Vince.
Yeah. Good job, Vince. That's what the crowd wanted to see. Right? That'll put asses in the seats, as Tony Schiavone famously said once.
It's small time Republic. It's like Thor. You know, just anyone can be Thor as long as you're holding the title. Your fucking name actually gets changed to Thor. It's the same thing with the total package. Drew just slapped Miss Elizabeth around a few times, and
That's
Yeah.
fucked up.
Etep, did you have a an article?
Yeah. Yeah, actually I did. Let me pull that up real quick. Hang on a second. Nah, Gmail, not good day, you stupid computer. Let's see, where's that? My video is suitable for all advertisers. I know it is, YouTube. Thank you, Mama Susan. Alright, let me get this over here. And here we go right here. Rey Mysterio unmasked in 6 other ways. WCW ruined their Mexican wrestlers. Now, before we go into this article, just know that Eric Bischoff like masterminded the cruiserweight division. You know, he really did. So he brought a lot of these guys that came from to ECW from Mexico into the mainstream. So they later did they botch some of them? Yeah, man. Ray never should have taken his mask off. I mean, look at him. You know, he looks like a deformed munchkin. But so here we go. We'll talk about this. WCW's WCW's cruiserweight division may have not been the reason WCW began gaining momentum in '96. There was also this little thing called the NWO. You might have heard of it. However, it deserves all the credit for helping make Monday Nitro an innovative show that helped transform the wrestling landscape. And I used to love that when they'd start out with like a luchador match. You'd come in hot with 6 of these little shits flying around. You know,
it got the energy up, man. It was smart.
Oh, that's why everybody like talks shit about people. Oh, you're a curtain jerker. It's like, yeah, but they set the tone for the show. So
Right.
you want to have somebody that's good there that can pop the crowd. In the process, the company brought in several luchadors whose signings were primarily facilitated by Conan and conducted by Eric Bischoff from promotions like AAA and CMLL. These high-flying, colorful wrestlers helped flesh out WCW's mid-card, and their matches were often the best on the respective cards on which they'd appear. However, as time went by, WCW managed to completely poison the well, ruining any appeal folks like Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Juventud Guerrera, and others had, to the point where, like most of the rest of WCW's downfall, it almost seemed intentional.
Is that Teddy Long or Spike Lee in the NBA ad?
That is, I think that's
The dude from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
JB Smoove. JB
Yeah,
Smoove, that's his name. Yeah, unmasking Rey Mysterio. This was
that was so dumb.
That was the feud with Chris Jericho, where Jericho was taking all the luchadors' masks. Let's see.
He killed somebody in the ring too.
Ray? I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it was he accidentally did or paralyzed somebody.
I could see that being Juventud. Juventud Guerrera lost his mask to Jericho too.
I think losing his mask worked for Hoovy. He became the Juice.
Yep, he was like the mini Rock.
It was taking him to another level in his career.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Rey Mysterio was a mistake because he looks like a fucking
he looks like an idiot.
He looks like Chupacabra.
Mm-hmm.
Unmasking Psychosis.
That's Mexican, right?
Yep. I kept asking everybody where that was when I was on the Dominican. I'm like, hey, you guys see any chupacabras around here? My wife's like, shut up. Unmasking Psychosis. Yeah, he should. His mask was dope as fuck. Like he shouldn't have taken. That'd be like taking La Parkas off. I'm glad they didn't ever do that. But Psychosis, jobbing. Oh yeah, dude, this was great though. Like Kevin Nash using Ray as a lawn dart. That worked.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yep, that worked. 3, constantly talking about NWO during matches. Yeah, as if it wasn't obvious that WCW's entire focus was on its main event scene, particularly the NWO and respective feuds with Roddy Piper, Sting, and Goldberg. Its commentary team, led by AEW's Tony Schiavone, no, it's WCW's Tony Schiavone, who now works at AEW, sucker, often spent the entire undercard of a Nitro or Thunder, even on a pay-per-view, hyping the final match. Unfortunately, this meant that often despite the best efforts of broadcaster Mike Tenay, legendary 5-star matches like 1997 Halloween Havoc battle between Guerrero and Mysterio were virtually ignored as they were happening. This was more damaging than it probably seemed at the time, as constant reinforcement that the Mexican wrestlers and their cruiserweights weren't important enough to talk about during their own matches, no matter how spectacular they were. The Latino World Order, these guys were great. These guys were great.
I remember that.
Fucking, there's Los Fabulosos, El Dandy, and Silver King. See, I have them created on my game too.
Nice.
We'll admit it. For a very brief moment at the beginning of the LWO's emergence, led by Eddie Guerrero as a spinoff from his real-life conflict with Eric Bischoff in the summer of '98, we thought it could have been something especially for less notable members like La Parca, El Dandy, Silver King, Villano 5, Hector Garza, Ciclope, and Damien. These men were all talented, but aside from La Parca's memorable antics as the chairman of WCW, they were mostly used as fodder for WCW's more important wrestlers, while a parody angle is almost always a sign of poor booking, given these men an actual storyline could have been a step in the right direction. However, much like almost everything that looked promising for WCW in its later years, it failed to gain traction and was over with Eddie's severe New Year's Day 1999 car accident. No upward mobility for the cruiserweights was a problem. And we all know how that ended. So, yeah, the ultimate problem for Mexican stars.
Where can they really go? Like, maybe if you created your own kind of like little division and gave them, like, maybe if Thunder was for the cruiserweights, but I mean, you're not going to have Silver King in there or Psychosis wrestling Kevin Nash. It's I kind of didn't even like when they gave Rey Mysterio the world title in WWF because it's just not believable. It's not.
No,
I remember when I heard it. I wasn't watching at that time, and then like I caught wind of it. I'm like, what? That makes zero fucking sense. And he's having matches with the big slow.
They're putting him over on the Big Show and Batista and shit. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like, get the fuck. I like Rey Mysterio, but he belonged in the cruiserweight division. Like, I hate that. That's like I said. That's like putting the heavyweight title on a woman. It's that insulting.
Yeah.
It is. And I'll say that. Like when Tess Blanchard took the Impact heavyweight title, that is insulting.
It's right there in the title of it. Heavyweight.
Yep.
Not flyweight.
Yep. No, that shit bothered me. But yeah, those are some of the biggest mistakes made in WCW there. Some unmaskings.
So, who's a more believable Intercontinental Champion? Rey Mysterio or China?
Ooh. I'm going with Rey Mysterio because he's still a guy.
Yeah.
Honestly.
You don't do you think like when China before she started trying to get all girly when she was all fucking roided out and shit? You
John
think
China
that she
says
couldn't?
China.
I think she could have taken Rey Mysterio. What say you, chat? Like, I think China would have taken Rey Mysterio.
Yep. I agree. That's why I got John China out.
Possibly.
I know you can't see you can't see my avatar right now, but
I can't. It's like you disappear from the screen. That's how I know it's up.
oh, son of a bitch!
So let's go ahead and go around and start wrapping things up so I can go eat some dinner on this fabulous 2/2/2/2/2 Tuesday. 5 times.
Oh yeah.
after this, I'm going to be going over to Twitch and playing some Fortnite with the buddies over there. So yeah, come check me out over there.
Sweet. Yeah, go subscribe to Draven's Twitch, subscribe to his YouTube also. I still need to play Fortnite. Like, it's free and I haven't fucking played it.
I'm playing that. Playing Fortnite, and then I'll probably play Lost Ark after that when the other guys dip out. But that Lost Ark is free as well.
I need to do Genshin Impact. Even like if there's some pay stuff or like to progress, I just want to like play it just to.
It's fun.
Yeah. Sweet.
But there is a gotcha element to it. You don't have to do it, but there is a thing with that.
Yeah. Sweet, dude. Thank you for coming on. It's always a blast streaming.
Yeah, man. Always a pleasure being here.
Definitely. And there we go. Computer's done freezing.
It's okay. You need to caress your computer. You need to tell it it's okay, and then tell your computer go make a sandwich for you.
Pray to the Adeptus Mechanicus.
Probably, yeah. I probably caress my computer too much.
Machine guns.
That's it. See, you spoiled it. Now you need to choke it a little. No. Anyway, yes, it's always a blast being here. I'm sorry when it gets so degenerate, but no, seriously, it's always fun, and yeah, reminiscing and talking about this stuff is it's a good time. You know, I'm getting work done, hanging out with my friends. Yeah, can't beat it. Everyone in chat, you guys and girls are fantastic. Keep swinging by. Drop in on our other streams on the other channels as well. I got them going on the Fridays and Sundays. Those are my live streams. I'm going to be hanging out with Tommy. Well, first we'll be Red Gazes. We're doing the probe. And then after that, we head over to Tommy Guinea Pig Collective. And we talk toys and retro stuff. It's fantastic. So don't miss out on that. And yeah, you know, things kind of repeat again with the fun and all the good times. We were hanging out with Drew before as well for his birthday. So I don't know if he's still going or not. I doubt it. But drop by his Twitter handle. Say hi and wish him a happy birthday if you can. And yeah, everybody else, keep rocking it. Looking forward for next week.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you for coming on. It was awesome as always, bro.
Always a pleasure. Seriously.
Before we go to our last co-host on the panel, I just want to pull up Glanzer's comment. China would have put Rey Mysterio in a bear hug, and Ray would have loved it, and I agree.
I would have taken a head scissor from her. No complaints there.
Oh, yeah.
I would have put that green makeup on her and say, act like She-Hulk.
Yep.
Hell yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, he's got the red, white, and blue running through his veins like Demi Lovato. He was born and raised in the USA like Osama bin Laden. Mr. Etep Wokuian.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Etep Wokuian of Etep Wokuian's The Place to Be Reviews. You can catch me and Tony tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern for Wednesday Night Live, The Place to Be. We'll be joined by Mr. Grant Gregory, Yeti Cast, and I'm going to hit Black Angus up and see if he'll stop by. And we'll play the quiz sensation that's sweeping the nation. Do you know me? As well as have holy shit news. And so much else going on tomorrow night. So come on over, join us for that. Friday morning at 10:30 Eastern, Vassy will be joining me for a live stream. We'll be discussing Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Netflix movie. Spoiler alert, it was bad, in my opinion. I think Vassy liked it.
I'm sorry.
We're gonna talk about it. I'm looking forward to it. Vassy hasn't been on in a while, and you guys will have a Batwoman review this week. Bel Air episodes 4 and 5 in one video, and so I got a lot planned. Plus, I'm gonna try to get out a pop culture video tomorrow too. But Tony, Vinny, Draven, as always, these streams are so much fun. Thank you guys all, and thank you to the chat. You guys and gals are wonderful out there. Thank you.
Hell yeah. Thank you.
TNT, brother.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, what have I got going on? You're fucking looking at it. The Monday Night War. Yeah. The Monday Night War retrospective every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As you guys know by now, we're heading well into the cream of the product, you know, the real good stuff. So yeah, check us out. Check me out on Etep's channel every Monday and Wednesday, over on Vinny's channel on Sundays. I'm gonna start another live stream here soon. I'm just kind of like trying to get the best day and time down, really, but starting a new live stream soon. Also working on some projects here in the background that I hope to get out to you guys soon. So thank you very much. And with that being said, they are not pop culture, they are agenda. We are pop culture. And we'll speak to everyone soon. So thanks again. Happy Tuesday.